I spoke to so many people who are splitting hairs over whether they didn't buy Ethereum at 1900 and now it's at 2100 and now they don't want to buy, or they're not sure whether to get in, they're waiting for a pullback. You're not going to think about these little blips on the radar in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time when ETH's like potentially 10K plus, right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. You don't want to be out of the game when this train leaves the station.
The quote from Michael Saylor where he's like, when Bitcoin is at $6 million, you're going to wish you bought it $1 million. I was like, oh, so bullish.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Berg's podcast. I'm Ben, your favorite high school dropout and founder of Collective Shift. Alongside me is Bergs, your favorite MBA and COO of Collective Shift, Australia's leading crypto portfolio insights company providing professional analysis and portfolio strategies for crypto investors like you. We are a unique blend of the established and the self-made, and we're here to break down crypto, business, and personal growth. But we're not here just to talk crap. We're giving you the insights you need to make better investments, build successful businesses, and level up your life. And today we're talking about the top 5 biggest investing mistakes we saw from the Australian crypto convention last week. We spoke to hundreds of investors, if not thousands, I reckon, Bergs, over the 2 days. It was absolutely unbelievable. We had 3 massive presentations and we had a booth, and we saw a lot of our current members, old members and new members, and just the community came through. I felt like I just had a line around me for the whole weekend. I lost my voice by the end of it. But there were some really common experiences that we heard from a lot of these investors that was really a unique insight that we were able to gain, that we want to share with you some common themes about what we're seeing with most investors and those, investing mistakes they're making.
Absolutely, mate. It was a cracking weekend. We even had a Collective Shift meetup, which was so good. Everyone was coming up to the booth. Like, I ended up losing my voice as well. People actually want to talk to me, and I'm more in the background of the company. The analyst was slammed the entire time. We didn't have a spare second. And we went to the conference with what we thought people actually wanted and what they were experiencing based on what our members want from us, all of our strategy calls, our one-on-ones. We get it. We're hearing this common message. We took it to the conference and it really resonated. And the people that came up to us, talked to us and told us their stories, we've summarized in these 5 points right here. These investing mistakes that people are still making that they need help with. And Ben, mate, we've just got to go through them now. Give all the Ben Berg's listeners the beans and help them out, mate.
Yeah, so the first one was just we just saw that not enough people were going hard enough when the market was down. And this is pretty common, right? Warren Buffett, it's a famous quote of be fearful when people are greedy and greedy when people are fearful. You really need to go hard when the market's down. And that's probably been over the last 12 months. We've been harping on about buying Bitcoin and crypto since, Bitcoin was at 16,000 just a little under a year ago. And that's where you're really going to get those undervalued assets. And if you've been accumulating and dollar cost averaging during those times, that's where you're able to really build up a great stack of crypto. So many people wait for the market to come back and now, are on the fence about buying in, which I still think it's a good time, but you've had 2 years to really get into the market where there's been really undervalued assets. Now, as I said, I think that opportunity will still continue for the next few months, but you really need to make opportunity when those assets are down, because that's where you're going to really get the growth. You want to be on the buy side when most people are selling, and you want to be on the sell side when most people are buying, right? That's really how you make money. You need to get in before everyone else and get out when most people are getting in. And we see that, in cycles in crypto. The retail investors come in right at the wrong time, right at the end. And the OGs and the whales have been here for a long time, have been accumulating. They're the ones that make the money.
Exactly. And it was funny. I was trying to buy before the conference and I sent my money over to my exchange, waiting. The money got rejected because it had the wrong name on it because it's a new bank account and it's in joint names. Sent it back, had to send it to my other bank account, send it across. And I literally bought at the conference. I'm like, this is amazing. I have to get in. And the quote from Michael Saylor where he's like, when Bitcoin is at $6 million, you're going to wish you bought it $1 million. I was like, oh, so bullish. And he just went on this huge, beautiful talk about Bitcoin, about crypto. And it was amazing. Like, we forget, we don't have this energy in our normal lives. We're the weird people in our friend groups. We're talking about crypto. And when you meet up with like-minded people, you see what's going on, what's happening in the macro environment with ETFs, what's happening with the economy, and people are going to come out of your Bitcoin, going to come after your Bitcoin. And Saylor's like, don't sell your Bitcoin. People are going to come after it. You can rent it back to them. Like, it was just amazing. And we forget because there's no price action. And this is the time you should be buying in any market. Be greedy when others are fearful.
Yeah, and that's the leads into number 2. We just saw, dollar cost averaging at the wrong times. Again, it's just taking advantage of those opportunities when those assets are down, and dollar cost averaging is just a great way. It's very basic. You've probably heard about us harp on it forever, but you can just really automate your buys. You set it up, you send a couple $100 a week or whatever you can afford from your wage or your income, and it's just going to keep buying, and you got to forget about it. And not a lot of people think about that way of investing or, how having savings anymore, like putting that money aside. We wait to get a bonus, or we wait for a big cash injection in our business or something like that, where if you're just on a salary or you're just earning a bit of money, just put a little bit aside, each week. And, guess what? In a few months, in a year or two's time, that's going to really add up. So taking advantage of those lower prices and dollar cost averaging to build up that stack.
Automation is the key. You need to do this for a long period of time. It needs to compound. Think about this. Imagine if you were hand washing all of your clothes every day with the bloody, the old school like stone and everything. No, you automate it with a washing machine and it just gets done. You don't have to think about it. Your clothes are clean. Would you go out every day and water 100 square meters of your lawn, or would you automate it with reticulation? You'd automate it. You don't have to think about it. It just gets watered. And you don't have to think about it. That little bit of money comes out and it accumulates over time, whatever your investments may be, and it builds your stack. And you get on with your life and practice your craft. And dollar cost averaging at the wrong time. Ben, you and I, we watched a movie, Dumb Money. Amazing. Anyone out there in the crypto space, you have to see it. It's about deep effing value. Roaring Kitty, the guy from Reddit who bought GameStop stock. And it's amazing. It's got Pete Davidson, Seth Rogen, Vincent, forget his last name. Phenomenal movie, but they talk about all of these things in there when you're buying when other people aren't, and they go through the emotion. Am I wrong? Am I going to lose my money? What's going to happen? But then they zoom out and they're like, no, the thesis is still the same. Bitcoin is actually gathering momentum. More and more is stacking up for Bitcoin to make sense every single day. And if you zoom out 10 years and 10 years in the future, would you want to be holding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? The answer is absolutely yes. We've seen the data that comes out where it says add Bitcoin to any portfolio and its performance goes up. These are the things you need to listen to and have that long-term view and start dollar cost averaging.
And I spoke to so many people who are splitting hairs over whether, they didn't buy Ethereum at 1,900 and now it's at 2,100 and now they don't want to buy, or they're not sure whether to get in, they're waiting for a pullback. You're not going to think about these little blips on the radar in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time when ETH's like potentially 10K plus, right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. You don't want to be out of the game when this train leaves the station.
I am this person. So I'm like, I was buying Ethereum at $80 and now it's $2,000. It's too expensive. But the reality is, if I think of returns on a risk-adjusted basis, let's say I only get 15% from crypto per year, which is very low for crypto. Where else am I going to get that return? Nowhere. If I get that, is it going to make sense for me? Yes, absolutely. And you said it to me, Ben. I'm like, I want to put X amount of money in. How do I put it in? Because I bounce my ideas off someone who knows what they're talking about. And he said, mate, just tip all the money in because it ain't going to effing matter in 10 years' time. And I was like, oh, no, I put a little bit here, a little bit there. And this is the first time where like I could have been buying like 28, 29 and I bought it at like 37. Don't care. Like that kind of 8K difference is not going to matter at all when Bitcoin's 150 grand.
Totally. I remember, seeing Vitalik in Sydney, right? ETH was $80 going down to 75. Doesn't make any difference really if you think about the long term, right? You got to sit now and go, I didn't buy enough at 80, so I'm not gonna buy now. Yep. Like it makes sense.
We just did a podcast. If you're listening with Anthony Sassano, he's exactly the same. He bought ETH like right at the start. He's got heaps of ETH. He's still buying ETH at today's prices.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Keep buying. Number 3, going too degen in the wrong part of the cycle. What does that mean? Well, it means people are trying to make money when there isn't really money to be made. And usually what happens is the reverse happens. You end up losing more money that you're trying to gain. People take on trading. People are like trying to earn a yield and doing all this crazy stuff, yield farming and flipping NFTs and all sorts of random stuff. But you're pushing shit uphill because you're against the macro cycle of the market. There's more sellers than buyers overall. So unless you can magically pull something out of the hat, most likely, more than not, you're going to be losing money during that cycle. So what we recommend is just to hold BTC and ETH in those down cycles. Bitcoin outperforms 95% of altcoins in the bear market. Hold it all the way down And then as we start to come out into a ball again, you can start to rotate back into altcoins. But just, ride the 4-year cycle, respect it, understand it, and you're going to be way better off if you're patient and just ride the way up.
Yeah, and you rotated a few months ago into a couple of altcoins. You're seeing the returns there already. And just think about this. If you're going super degen, you're into everything, you're signing heaps of contracts, it's up only, just pause and go, all right, if that's my mentality, what's going on here? Things are getting a bit frothy. Maybe I should be on the other side of these trades.
That's what happened to one of our platinum members. I had a strategy call with him recently. He had about $500,000 or $600,000 staked on all sorts of different altcoins in a bear market and was down about $450,000 just over the course of a year, and then sold at the bottom. And he didn't understand why. Well, it's like the reality is, even if you stake coins and are earning 4, 5, 10%, the value of that altcoin has gone down 80%, so it doesn't matter. So, what I did and what we try and teach is in a bear market is to hold Bitcoin and Ethereum and then get back in at good times. And we were able to make some good entries back in July, a couple of altcoins. One's up more than 100%. The other one's up about 20 or 30%. But that's only like off the lows. It's still down 80%, but your whole portfolio is not down 80% because you didn't buy at the top and ride it all the way down.
Yep, now's the time to rebalance.
Totally. Number 4 is no sell strategy. Now, this is a good one because you've still got time as we head into this next cycle, but this is the biggest key difference, I believe, to allow you to actually make money in a bull market. If you don't have a sell strategy, you're not going to know when to sell, how to sell, why you want to sell, and you just won't. You ride it all the way up and all the way down, like most of you probably already have. So I highly recommend creating a sell strategy. That can be as simple as just writing out your goals, writing out your price targets and how much you want to sell. There's a range of different ways you can sell your crypto in terms of different strategies. The way I do mine is just a dollar cost averaging out strategy. So finding a target you want to sell at and then selling a percentage of that target and still holding some. And I really like to be more earlier than later in a bull market just because of how quickly bull markets tend to end. So get that sell strategy in order, execute it, and don't be emotional. Because as soon as you become emotional and you hope things go higher, you wish it will, you think it will, that's when things go to shit.
Absolutely. And this was the number one question that I had from people. Ben did a talk on it. It was packed. Every seat was taken. There was probably about another 100 people standing out the back. This is what you talked about. We're actually going to do a podcast on it, but people do not know how to sell. So many people said, I had a couple of Moonbirds. I worth 50 ETH each. I had all this crypto. I was worth 2.3 million on paper and I wanted to get to 3 million because I wanted to buy a house. Didn't sell any of it. Now it's worth 100 grand. So many people came up to me with these stories and it resonated. And at the end of your talk, Ben, you had a link, and we'll link this in the show notes for everyone, from Collective Shift, how to create your sell strategy. All like 300 or 400 phones went up. And we saw this reflected in our website stats. Got the little QR code and went and got that PDF. So we're going to provide that here. That PDF, we don't want your email. We don't want anything. It's a direct link to a PDF to help you guys out.
Yeah, that it literally like 5x'd our website traffic in, space of like 20 minutes. We're looking at it after. It was really cool. So we'll link that below. So we basically, the same strategy that I used to make the money I was able to make in the last cycle, we processed that. And now we have a 10-step strategic process that you can take yourself through. It's a PDF. It's got resources to help you create that sales strategy and all the other parts of it. And then as well, we offer 15-minute complimentary strategy calls where we can actually walk you through that and help you create your strategy. So you can book that. Just go to our website, collectiveshift.io, and you can book that in as well if you want.
Absolutely. And like it kicks off with like defining your goals. And we've got resources. You click in the PDF. All the resources are free. You'll just go to a web link and it'll just it'll show you like how to think about it. And a lot of analysts have actually written the resources. And the first thing is, what are your goals? And like I try to talk people through it and they're just like, like dead silence. Like people haven't thought about it. They're just like, number go up, stack more marbles in the bank. And so I tell them my goals of what they are, like, getting a house, another house, one for my daughter, taking a big family trip, and then making some money so I can work part-time for a while. And they're like, that'd be really cool. And then they start really thinking and defining their goals and then tying their crypto to a number to be able to sell and then achieve those goals and increase their life fulfillment.
It's amazing. I was speaking to a guy that had over $10 million of Solana, pretty much got in really early, has never sold, rode it all the way up and rode it all the way down. I'm like, well, what are you trying to build towards? What are you trying to sell? Like, what are you trying to get out of crypto? He's like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, well, that's the reason why you haven't sold money.
People have this like idea of getting a massive capital sum, a number in their head, and they're like, then I'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, but what is that for? Like you need to tie it to a thing and actually execute on it, because if you're not taking profits, you're not winning. You're not being a proper investor.
Yeah, spot on. Which ties into the last one, too many altcoins. This is a common one. We've been preaching on this for a long time. Why? Because I made the same mistake in my first cycle, had way too many altcoins, 20 or 30. It's just impossible to stay on top of them all. And coming into a bull market, you need to be across these altcoins. You need to know when to sell. You need to be, looking at, are they achieving their roadmap? Are they ticking off the things they want to achieve? Or are they failing? And, are the founders going in a different direction? Are they running out of money? Is the community falling behind? What is the token price doing? With too many altcoins, it can become impossible to track. So what I have done in the last two cycles is really consolidate my altcoins, have more high conviction plays, and I can really follow the evolution of those projects to ensure they're going in the right direction.
Yep. What contracts have I signed? What are they doing on chain? What's their treasury doing? What's their voting system? What's going on in their Discord? What bounties do they have? No, you can't do that. You can't be across 30 to 50 altcoins. That is absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's impossible. And I put that down. The core reason why I didn't make any money in the first cycle, and I wrote it all up and all the way down, is just because there's too much going on. So they're the top 5. So to recap, not going hard enough when the market is down, dollar cost averaging at the wrong times, going too degen in the wrong part of the cycle, no sell strategy, and too many altcoins. And we'll link to that strategy document in the show notes so you can get that, download that PDF, fill it out, and make sure you execute it in this next cycle.
Well said, mate. Like, they were definitely the top takeaways. It was an amazing week, and we heard this story over and over again. Hopefully this resonates with a lot of you that are listening now. And take some time, take a couple of hours on a Saturday, do that sell strategy document. I did it, and it is eye-opening and life-changing. I feel so much more comfortable. Stress has actually been lifted from me that I didn't know was there. That was really bothering me.
Yeah, and you have a plan now you can execute, and you know how it's going to play out. And that's the best thing. You can future project how this plays out rather than just going in blind.
Absolutely.
Amazing. If you haven't listened to our episode with Anthony Sassano yet, we highly recommend you guys go check that out. It was absolutely amazing. It has been our most popular episode by far, probably 5 or 6x higher than any other episode. So go and check that out. It's episode 111, Creating Wealth with Ethereum, ETH for Sol, ETH Bull Case, and the top layer 2s with Anthony Sassano. Check that out. It was a cracker episode. And if you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to share it and know someone that you think will find value, we'd love for you to share it with them. It's how we grow the podcast and come at you each and every week, absolutely free in your ears. Thank you so much, Bergs. We'll see you next episode.
Thanks, champions.